Production begins in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, president at the Community Foundation, and we are thrilled to be highlighting a wonderful event that's happening later this year right here in Salisbury, but for the entire community. Caroline O'Hare, local director for the National Folk Festival. Can you give us a little background on what we're going to experience?
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk about the festival. I love coming and sharing the news about it. It is a free, 100% free, 3-day outdoor festival with 7 stages of continuous music, all in downtown Salisbury. And it's not just music, but there's also art. There's dance, there's spoken word, there's demonstrations, there's a ton of food, and it's just going to be a joyous, wonderful event. The hours, it kicks off at 6 o'clock on Friday, September 7th, goes till about 10:30 at night. And then on Saturday, it starts again at noon, goes to 10:30 at night. And then on Sunday, starts at noon again and only goes till about 6:30 because we need to wrap things up and get people back into their regular mode on Monday morning.
Regular work and school, right?
Exactly.
We'll be back then by that time. Now, the free part sounds wonderful to, I'm sure, a lot of people and families, because it's just a great way to experience things that maybe you love or maybe are new. So for anyone who's not had the opportunity to experience folk music before, what is it?
That is a great question. What is folk? Because when I first started, or when I first heard about the folk festival, actually, I had my perception of what folk music was. And I always say I thought like Peter, Paul, and Mary and that type of thing. But folk music and this festival, this folk festival, celebrates the grassroots traditions of a culture, an ethnicity, a geographic area, a working tradition. So what I like to use as an example is if you're from Louisiana, your folk traditions, your musical folk traditions might be Zydeco or Cajun. But if you're from Chicago, that's not necessarily your musical folk traditions. It might be blues or jazz. Or if you're from the Bronx in New York, your folk traditions might be hip hop or salsa. If you're from Montana, it might be cowboy. If you're from Maryland, it might be Piedmont blues or bluegrass. So if you're one of the many indigenous peoples, nations that are part of America, you have a completely different folk tradition. We have the Pocomoke Indian Nation that will be part of our festival, and they'll be sharing not only with stories, but with music and with art, their folk tradition. So folk music, it's almost, I would rather just say music, because
Right.
there's so many different varieties.
And it's really just a celebration of the culture and the community of a place, which I think is why the National Festival has had the experience of moving around across the country.
Exactly. It celebrates all Americans, and it's for all Americans. As Americans, we have this unique thing that we have people that have been here for millennia. We have people that are joining us as new Americans from all over the world. So part of an American festival includes Chinese Americans, and part of an American festival includes Egyptian Americans and Latino Americans. And so there's such a diversity, and this is where we get to celebrate that diversity. And what I love that you had mentioned about seeing something that may be part of your culture, but also experiencing something new. That's what's so great about this festival, is because it's free, it's accessible to all. You're going to have these accidental discoveries. You're going to accidentally come into an art form or a music or a dance that you've never experienced before, and something's going to spark inside you, and you're going to fall in love with something new. So giving that accessibility to everyone that wants it, that's incredibly important.
And I know you've done a great job at reaching out to the community and getting people involved as donors, as sponsors, as volunteers for the day, which is a
Yes.
huge need. But the festival itself is really inclusive of all ages as well. You have things for kids, you have things for adults and families. So tell me a little bit about if I'm going to show up on any one of the 3 days. And I know each one's going to be a little different because of the performers that will be there. But what might I want to take advantage of, or who might I want to bring from my family to enjoy the event?
Okay. Well, just like you said, there's something for everyone. It's a feast for the senses. It doesn't matter the age. We have, if you want to sit down with your lawn chair or your blanket and sit in front of a stage for all 3 days and just see the different acts that come through, you can do that. If you want to try and get to every single performer and bounce around the 7 different stages, you can do that. If you want to wander through the juried festival marketplace and see some of the most incredible Maryland and Delmarva artists and craftspeople and be able to purchase something to take home with you, you can do that. If you have a family and you want to just take a break from the stages, you can go to the family area where there's make and take crafts. All of them are free. There's interactive performances, there's storytelling, there's all these fun things for families to do together. We don't call it a children's area because it's a family area. We want families to experience this together and be able to share these memories together. The Maryland Traditions Folk Life area, that is being produced in partnership with the Ward Museum and Maryland Traditions, which is the folk life arm of the Maryland State Arts Council. They have created a theme this year for their area called Chesapeake Traditions. So it's all about the Chesapeake. The musicians on that stage are all from Maryland. The artists, the demonstrators, it's going to be so rich and wonderful. So if you are a fan of the Chesapeake and you love Smith Island cake, we'll have that there. There'll be oyster shucking, there will be crab picking, there will be, oh my gosh, there's just so many different areas that people can learn something new or just enjoy something they've always loved their whole life.
Well, let me just say you have me at Smith Island Cake, and I'll leave it at that. So if I want to get involved as a volunteer, as a supporter, as an artist, how do I connect?
Sure. I'll start with our vendors, our festival marketplace, which are our artists and our craftspeople. We had applications open earlier this year, and then they closed, I think, about a month ago. And same thing for food vendors. I believe it was early, if not December. So those were open for a handful of months, and those are closed right now. Performers were open to apply through a program called Sonic Bids. The National Council for the Traditional Arts, the NCTA, which is a lot easier to say. They curate the whole program, the musical program, so they look at all the submissions that come in and then decide whether or not that's something that may be part of the musical program. So there's lots of ways for people to get involved that way. I would definitely check back on our website when applications open up again for the second year. I would look in the late fall for that. And then those open for a couple of months. Our website is nationalfolkfestival.com, so you can find that information there. There's a ton of guidelines. It tells you about the whole application process, the selection process, what they look for, what they're not looking for. So for example, in the festival marketplace, they're looking for handcrafted pieces of art or goods that are not mass produced, that are made in Maryland, that have speak to a genre or art form, that are of high quality, and that really sort of speak to our region. So if someone comes in and says, "Oh, well, I have a bunch of toys that I bought at,
Name the store, right?
Name the store." That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something really special, something that really lights people's eyes up when they walk through the marketplace.
And I think gives you a confidence as a visitor that you're going to be able to experience and purchase some things that are really unique and
Exactly.
and you may not find easily somewhere else.
Exactly, and that's what we want this to be, is something special for our festival goers to really know that care was taken in every area. And you had mentioned volunteers. We have shifts open now where you can pick the job that you want to do, the date you want to do it, the time you want to do it. We are looking for about 800 plus volunteers. We are actually doing pretty well with that. I was very excited. I was so excited when those shifts went live, and they just happened about a week or so ago.
And is that through the website as well?
Well, if you go to our website, you can find information about that.
Good.
But we were very lucky to partner with United Way of Lower Eastern Shore, their online volunteer center, Get Connected.
Yep, wonderful resource.
Oh, that thing is amazing. That has just been a lifesaver. And so we're using that online tool to gather volunteers, to communicate with them, to schedule shifts and whatnot. So if you go to shoregetconnected.org, you can sign up for your shift now. We'd love to have you. You get a free t-shirt. You get to have that pride that you brought this amazing festival to your town. You were there at the beginning, first year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, you mentioned an event that has 800 plus volunteers and is a national folk festival.
Yeah.
What is the impact that that brings to Salisbury, Wycomico County, Lower Eastern Shore, Delmarva Peninsula? What does that look like?
This is the reason why we were in competition with 34 other cities around the nation to be the host, is because of the economic and the cultural impact that this festival has. Just over those 3 days, we estimate between $15 and $30 million in direct spending to our local businesses, services, goods, hotels, restaurants, and all that fun stuff, plus millions more spread out throughout the Delmarva Peninsula. That's why we have Wycomico Tourism, Worcester Tourism, Ocean City Tourism, the state of Maryland, the governor's office, Maryland Tourism, Department of Commerce. All these folks are heavily invested in this because they don't see this as a Salisbury event. They don't see it as a Wycomico event. They see this as a state event. And they see that this can really help our economy. It can help our local businesses, and it can also inspire innovation and growth in our communities. It's also something that elicits this sort of cultural pride in our community, and also gets communities that may not interact with each other that often working together. And when that happens, that's pretty amazing. There's lots of things that we have in our life or in our towns and stuff that we see of like, oh, we need to get this fixed, or we need to work on this, but it's really difficult. It may be too difficult, but when you all come together and you put on an event of this size and you do something this big, it really sort of changes the mindset, so that when you see that other issue that, has been in the back of your mind, you go, wait a minute.
We built that foundation.
Yeah, we can do this. I know the people. I've been part of a large scale thing. We can do this. So it really changes the mindset of a community.
And that's powerful, and I really appreciate all the effort and work that's gone in on behalf of so many people and so many organizations and partners to move this forward. So on a much more fundamental note, if I'm coming, where am I parking, Caroline?
That is my favorite question. I love that question.
Now, I know in Salisbury there are numerous places, but within an event of that scope, you're thinking about families, you're thinking about people of all ages, you're thinking about people of all abilities. And so I know accessibility and convenience is at the top of your list to the extent that it can be.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let me tell you about parking, because I love it. Just around the festival footprint and within the parking garage that we'll have access to and out of that in a secure manner, so that people can't, leave that road. We have close to 2,000 parking spots within the festival footprint and around in surrounding parking lots, as well as partnering with Peninsula Regional Medical Center. They've offered Garage A for parking, and I think that's about 600 spots, plus the gravel lots behind them. But here's the thing that I love. We have a satellite parking lot, and that satellite parking lot is at the Civic Center. So there's about 1,300 spots, which is awesome. But we also are working with Salisbury Mall Associates to also have access to the additional 38 acres of parking right next to that. So that brings us up to about 4,000 plus parking spots. And then we'll have free shuttles running an hour before the festival up to an hour after the festival, running on 30-minute cycles every 10 minutes, taking people back and forth from that lot to the festival. So it's awesome that we were able to work with that group, and we're still looking for additional parking, but right now we feel like we have enough that if everyone wanted to drive their car, and hopefully they're carpooling, that would be that we have the space for them. Salisbury University also is providing their own shuttle for their students, staff, and faculty that are coming to the festival or even volunteering for the festival. We also, because of our headline sponsor, Purdue, we are having the entire shore transit system for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday be free for all 3 counties. So if you're coming to the festival and you need a ride, Purdue has got you covered. If you're not coming to the festival, if you're in another county and you just want to go shopping, Purdue has got you covered. For those 3 days, shore transit will be free. You can ride the bus, and know that we hope that you'll come to the festival, and if you don't, we hope that you'll enjoy the free ride.
That is wonderful, and certainly highlights all of the partnerships that we've been talking through. So I think we've hit some of the highlights for what to experience while we're there. We know how we can get involved. We know where we can park. What did we miss, Caroline?
It's an ever-evolving sort of deal. We just launched the entire Maryland Traditions Folk Life Area program. So if you go to our website, you can see all the musical artists, all the demonstrators. I talked about how we're going to have Smith Island Cake. Well, we're having Mary Ada Marshall, legendary woman, demonstrating how to make Smith Island cake. We have Michael Whitby, who's a master oyster shucker, demonstrating that. Rich Smoker, who is an incredible duck decoy carver. He will be carving on site and doing demonstrations. The Chesapeake Maritime Museum will be Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum will be actually building or creating a skiff on site to launch at the end of the festival. So check out that on our website. There's so much going on. We had this amazing event the other day where the Sensational Royal Lights, this gorgeous gospel group from Catonsville, performed. They're going to be at the festival. There's a ton of talent coming. So very excited about that. Plus, our final round of musical performers will be announced at the end of June. That's pretty awesome. And then in July, we're going to roll out who was selected for our festival marketplace, and you'll get to see just the diversity and the excellence of artisans that have been selected.
Well, it certainly sounds like a stellar event, and I think highlights all that is good about the local community, and kudos to everyone who is making it possible for that to be here. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you as well. The Community Foundation has been very supportive of the festival, and we truly appreciate that. It really fits with us because you support our community, and we are part of the community. We're trying to support our community too, so thank you for your support. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, Caroline. You've been watching Community Foundation Spotlight. I hope that you've enjoyed this overview of the National Folk Festival as it stands today, ever-changing and evolving. Please visit their website, see how you can get involved, see how you can support them, and most importantly, make sure that you attend the National Folk Festival here in Salisbury.